Good evening, and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Asa Knight, and with me is my co-host, Rains Love. We would like to welcome you to our 8th show at the Psychic Coffee Shop, where this evening we will be discussing psychic children. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, tune up, and enjoy taking part in our show.
Well, welcome, everyone. We have the chat room open, so feel free to join us at the Psychic Coffee Shop. And tonight we hope that you enjoy your experience and that you are able to take with you information and knowledge to help you as you move along in your path of life. And tonight we will start the show by taking a moment to clear our minds and light our candle of light to the world. And as we light the candle, we send out pure white light to help all of you that are going through storms in your life. May this light lead you to safe harbor to rest and find your way through your troubles. So may it be.
So may it be. Okay, now it's time for Coffee Chat. This is the part of the show where we discuss current topics as well as what's on your host's minds.
And tonight's first topic is coupons. How to cut your budget and boost your present income to enable you to have more money and free money coming in. And this is especially important during this time, during economic times when people are struggling and trying to make the money go a little bit further. We know everybody is hurting right now for money and trying to be a little bit more conscientious about where it goes. And one thing that everyone needs to be aware of is that although prices on food are extremely high right now, everyone can expect that due to frozen crops in the southern part of the country will most likely cause even higher prices within the next several months throughout the country.
I'm going to let you in on a few of my secrets for cutting the house budget and bringing money in doing the things that you already do in life. One of my secrets is coupons. In the digital age, it's made it much easier for you to collect coupons. All you got to do is sit down in front of your computer, print off your coupons. Meanwhile, while you're doing other things, you can hand them over to the kids or the lovely spouse sitting in front of the football game to clip them out. Another option is digital coupons. All you need to do is feed in your discard information and click the box. It'll automatically load it to the card, so when you go shopping, all you got to do is have your little keychain thing with you. Now, here's how I keep track of them. I go and I stole a 3-ring binder. You can get one of these from your kids or someone else around your house, and I stick them in these little protective things that people normally stick ball cards in, and I arrange them by the way the store is laid out. Example, all my canned food goods are in one section, all my frozen foods are in another. So it's really easy to put together.
And, Asen, I think you have some special little secrets, that you use in particular to help you, with your shopping. What are those secrets, Asen?
Well, my other little secret is there's many secret shopping agencies just dying for secret shoppers. So find them. For example, Susie Shop. It's a great site, but you got to keep in mind there's many others out there. A warning, an authentic secret shopping agency, our site, will never request you to pay money to shop for them. They want to pay you. So, you check your emails that they send out to you either weekly or daily of their available shops. You see if they have a shop offered for the store you're planning to shop at. Then you go and you grab all your sales papers and you put those in the front of your binder. Now, granted, there's more than one grocery store normally that people go to, so you want to have those handy. Then you look on the site and choose the stores that you're planning to send if they have a secret shop. You click and accept that shop. So, then you print out the shopping forms. These are normally little questionnaires that you've got to fill out after you're done with your shop, and it also tells you what information you need to collect. Example, where the bathroom's clean, whatever. So you go ahead and you put that in the back of your binder because it's the last thing you ever want to touch while you're in the store. Then you move over and you look through your sales papers and see what's on sale, and you make yourself a shopping list of what you need. When you're making out the shopping list, you put a star by the product if it's a product that you need that's on sale at the store you're going to. You put another star by the product, so you have a double star telling you that that product you also have a coupon for. Then you grab your wallet and head out to the store. Here is an example of a recent purchase and savings on my last shopping. I got 2 things of the big Fancy Feast 24 packs, a new keyboard, 24 case of Coke, a box of water, bottle of cologne, 2 very large candles, and a new mouse. At the register, I only paid $27.50 after coupons. Then, for shopping and only spending 30 minutes of my time in the store, I was paid an additional $20 by during the shop. So, in all actuality, at the end of the day, I only paid $7.50.
Jason, how much would your bill have been in the first place without the coupons?
Without the coupons or the shop, my total bill would have been $74.64 plus sales tax.
That's a pretty big savings. So, I guess the motto is, so with a little bit of preparation and planning, you can save a lot of money.
Oh, most definitely. I've used this system for a number of years now, and I've cut my grocery and general household goods bills down from about an average of spending $2,500 a month to about only $800. And there's even months I spend less than that. There's some months I may even only make more money than I spend just because of the secret shops. Now, it's not only grocery stores, large box stores, and department stores that have secret shoppers. Great places like restaurants and hotels not only have coupons for their stuff, but they also have secret shops. So not only do you get to, go and eat for free, but you also save money and get paid to do it. So you can cut literally your spending down over 3/4 of what you're spending now very easily with a little planning, a little preparation.
And Nathan, it makes me think about, the local grocery store where I shop at. I even know that when you slide in your card, you can also get savings on gas, which with the gas prices going up again this summer, that's a pretty good deal if you save up your points.
Oh, not only that, honey, but then if it's at the local store here, Kroger's is linked in with the Shell Company. But then the Shell Company has their own discount card. So what you do is you take and you use your grocery store discount card, get a discount on the gas. Then you take your Shell card and get a discount on pop or whatever because you spent the money on your gas thing.
Very good. So I guess if you're just a little bit smart, you can actually save some money.
A lot of money.
Let's go on to our next topic, and this one's a little bit more serious. We're going to be discussing the tragic shooting that everybody's been hearing about on the news that happened in Arizona. And on Saturday in Tucson, Arizona, there was a tragic shooting where 6 people were killed and 14 more were wounded, including Republican Gabrielle Gifford. Well, Gifford was apparently the gunman's main target. She is still presently fighting for her life. And also included in the fatalities was the chief federal judge in Arizona who lived nearby and stopped by to say hello to Republican Gabrielle Gifford, who was meeting with the people of Arizona to discuss issues that they wanted to talk about. Those injured in the deadly shooting on Saturday in Tucson, 8 are still hospitalized. And according to reports by the AP News Association on Monday, there is 1 patient remaining in critical condition, 5 other people are in serious condition, and 2 people are in good condition at this point. We would want to send out, our prayers and also healing energy to the victims and family members of these victims.
Unfortunately, these things are always reported, and it always comes out in tragedies like this where people of special interest groups come out and blame the circumstances, also not only the victims due to their political beliefs or belief systems, but also start pointing fingers at other people. And it's getting a little ridiculous. The only person to blame is the shooter themselves. So in interest of saving energy, pointing the finger where it belongs, and use that energy instead to help out with the people that have been injured. That would be much better. Let's think about the tragedies as well. One person would take it upon themselves to take these necessary actions to attack another human being because they have different belief systems or work for different causes.
Exactly. And after all, we all are Americans. And, our country is supposed to be based on individual rights, freedom of thought, and expression. It's cases like this where we as a society, as well as individual family units, should take responsibility to begin to be proactive in working towards preventing, as much as we have the power to raise healthy thinking people who do not think that violence is the appropriate action, when somebody has a difference or a different belief system than they do. Okay, as individuals, we can begin to start looking, for warning signs in a person or a group of people that possibly may be thinking that violent acts are the way to solve problems or handling differences. And granted, we're not calling for control over people's lives, but if you see that someone is having a problem mentally, as reports are now saying regarding the shooter in this particular case, then you should take action, especially if you're a family member, friend, or someone who works closely with someone who displays violent tendencies or expresses them in thoughts.
Okay, now we're going to move on to our main topic tonight, psychic children. Clearly, all children, as all humans do, naturally have a greater psychic ability than adults due to the fact that they haven't learned how to shield themselves from the energies around them, as well as adults have. Plus, many times, they're still connected to the other side for a very long time after birth.
First it's important, however, to identify if, in fact, your child has psychic abilities beyond normal intuitiveness to energies that children are naturally born with. Many times people think that their children may have a mental or emotional disorder. So it's important to clarify that you should always check with the physician to make sure that your child does not suffer from any medical or mental problems. Then begin looking for other reasons for their actions, like psychic abilities. And here are some common signs and symptoms that your child may have psychic abilities.
Does your child talk about strangers that are around you or others, but you don't see them? Does your child come and tell you someone is coming by or is already there, but you're both home alone, later to only find out that they were stopping by? Your child may want to not go to certain areas or rooms alone, or to stay in a room alone. Does your child talk about creatures or beings in the house that they feel need to be looked after in some way? For example, they may ask you to put cat food out to feed the cat, but you don't have a cat. But it could also be because they're seeing a spirit of a cat. Your child may have an ongoing dream that disturbs them about a certain person, animal, object, or place. The reasons for this may be that they are reliving past life memories in their dreams. They may also talk in different languages. They may speak about situations when they were bigger or in another area, even if you've never lived anywhere but the home they've known.
Does your child call people other names? For example, if they call Uncle Marty Bob, this could be due to past life memories, thoughts, or ideas. Does your child convey messages that are coming from people that only they can see? They may be seeing a spirit in the household that used to live there but no longer does. Your child may have behavior problems, too, that exhibit excessive anger and misbehavior. And this would definitely be an example of them picking up on the energy of a particular room or location, especially if there's been someone around who, has passed on that definitely does not have positive energy. Sometimes you might find your child sleeping across the bed or often scrunched up in a small ball in a certain part of the bed, this may not always be cause for concern, but, it could be also a sign, especially if you're having some of the other symptoms, that the child might be picking up on the energy of the room, and they're attempting to shield themselves or protect themselves. Children can also have physical signs that could be showing you they have psychic symptoms. They could be having symptoms of failure to thrive. For example, they may not be gaining weight. Also, they may be affected by certain foods, because often people who have intuitive psychic energy, are not able to eat foods that are often processed. Okay?
Problems to look for in your children. If your child has continuous nightmares or disturbing dreams, or if you find them curled up in a tight ball on one side of the bed, you should check for negative energies in the room or unhealthy energies across their bed. Often people will take their child to the doctor and have them tested for disorders such as ADHD, hypertensive disorder, when if they would look and consider the energy aspect of the problem, it could be solved in other ways. For example, allowing your child to express the emotions they are picking up from the room. Checking to see if there's any negative energies or residual energies. It's also important to note that you may want to find out if there's any high EMF readings in the room. That's electromagnetic field energy. If there's high levels of EMF, you may need to fix the problem either by grounding the house's wiring more or by just simply moving the bed across the room. Check the room with an EFM meter, and it will show you exactly, most likely, that the areas your child does not want to go into is because it's very high. That means they're sensitive to EMF, and they're also having feelings and emotions that they're picking up that's been left over.
And, Ace, I want to point out a really good example here is, quite often, and I think pretty much, anyone that's experienced this, say, for example, you go to a gathering or a party of some sort, you walk in the room, it's usually pretty easy for any of us to pick up the energy from other people. There may be somebody, in the room who's very negative, or other people are very positive. We can pick up the energies off of different people, and although we can't necessarily see what the child is seeing, they're picking up that same energy. It's just that they're not seeing it physically. And so this could be a real good example of getting a clue of exactly what it is that the child is picking up there. And it's similar, just a little bit different, okay? Some other things that you can be looking for in your child, trying to find out what the energy is given if you need to bring in professionals, such as someone who is a professional psychic. Some people bring in church affiliations. Take the appropriate action to solve the problem. Keep in mind that if your child's struggling, being able to put into words what they're experiencing, be patient with them. Adults often have a hard time identifying energies, especially when it comes to things we don't see. And children are not able to put it into words as much as we are because they haven't had the same experiences. Allow them to express themselves without reaction or putting ideas or your input into their free flow of thoughts until after they've finished speaking. And remember that children often cannot articulate words for what they're experiencing. It's important to understand that if your child is psychic, that you build a bond to understand their world, because their world is quite different from your world. If your child is under 7, then it's pretty cool and okay, because they don't really see the difference between them and other people. However, at around the age of 7, they begin to see the difference, but others as well start noticing a difference in them. This is a time when you need to be actively and conscientiously working with your child to help them develop and understand, as well as embrace their God-given abilities. It's also important to promote high self-esteem.
Very much so. Okay. So you've determined your child's psychic. Great. Once you've identified that your child has psychic abilities, you need to validate them as often as possible and help them to be comfortable with who they are and also their unique and individual as an individual and also their unique abilities. Because this is one of the most important but hardest things for psychic children to deal with. The relationship bonding with you and your child is so critical because your child needs to feel that they can openly talk to you about things. Whether it's the man that keeps walking in the room at 3 in the morning and yelling at them, wake up, or if it's just them themselves, not feeling quite comfortable when they go visit Uncle Marty, who they call Bob. You need to listen to them because there's a reason for that, and they're trying to learn how to judge things.
Exactly. And, also keep in mind that sometimes other people, may not understand their behavior, and you're having a difficult time understanding it yourself sometimes. And so this can often make, children feel like they're going crazy, there's something wrong with them, especially if the adults are not supporting them. Okay? There's really some, specific things that you can do to help your child. But as well, your child can also be a help to you. First of all, understand that as your child becomes comfortable and understands their abilities, they can, in fact, be helpful in giving you information that you may need. Your child can let you know when something or someone is not right because of their own sensitivity. Sometimes when they continue to be persistent about something, you may want to take the time to evaluate what they're saying and check out the environment around you, especially when they're persistent because they're obviously picking up on something that maybe everybody else isn't. So take a second look. And keep in mind that, something that many may seem strange or uncomfortable to your child because they don't know whether to trust what they're seeing or feeling. They don't know whether to be fearful or welcome the situation they're picking up on. So be very careful of how you react because your reaction, if you react in fear, then most likely they're not going to be able to be open with you. And it's important that you be able to understand what your child is seeing. So try not to react. Let them give the information so that you can help them through it.
Most definitely. And also, an example is I consulted on a case of a family that lived in Arizona. Their little 8-year-old girl kept waking up in the middle of the night screaming bloody murder about the furnace shooting flames out. This was a 3-story house. They lived on the top floor. The furnace was kept in the basement. And this was repetitive for months and months, and the family took her everywhere, had her tested, had her on medicine to sleep. She still had these problems. So I was called in to assist in this situation, and I asked them to have the furnace checked. They at that time had the furnace checked, and it was okay, not the best condition. 8 months later, they called me back and said that their house had burnt down in the middle of the night, around 2:30 in the morning, and that the daughter had just woken up, which is why the family was awake, and that the furnace was the cause of the fire.
Wow.
Now, it's a critical area of development when they start reaching puberty also.
Well, and this is very interesting because not only was the child, having, a dream telling them what was going to happen, but again, the child was also helpful to them. Okay?
Very much so.
So, yeah. And now let's look at the development of puberty, okay? This is a really, really trying, time for any child, under the best case scenario. But the reason why this is such a difficult time, for psychic children, because all those hormones are beginning to activate and children, they haven't transitioned from the child brain to the adult brain. This can cause massive amounts of emotions and imbalance within a psychic child. If they were younger and you had been working with them at a very young age, then it would be a lot easier because they've already been trained to take appropriate steps to maintain and balance their psychic self. For example, daily meditation, journaling, children being able to discern their emotions from other people's emotions, understanding and how to deal with that information. The younger you start working with a child, the more better they're going to be prepared, for that age when they begin to go through puberty. And, Asen, what are some, specifically with children who are going through puberty, what are some problems that they can have, when all that psychic...
Well, it actually gets quite interesting if they hadn't been acting on their information or even realizing that they were psychic. And then all of a sudden the families start having problems in the house. Things start blowing up. They start thinking that their house is suddenly haunted. One case I was called in on, and I'm like, nope, it's your 13-year-old daughter. She's a psychic, and she doesn't know what to do with her emotions, and is forming kinetic energy, and nope, you do not have a poltergeist. And it can be anything from them picking up emotions on their friends and all of a sudden going from happy to an emotionally distraught. Also, if they've got mediumship, that's around the time that, their mediumship abilities start attracting spirits, so they may start having ghostly friends popping in, and also it could also cause those spirits to attract to them because the hormone levels and everything else boosting their energy, and they naturally have rambunctious energy. Most psychics maybe sleep 4 to 5 hours a day if they're not using their energy. So if you have a kid, that's very difficult.
Exactly. And, there's also some special things that, if you have a child who has mediumship abilities, it's really important to seek professional training through, one of many openings, such as a metaphysical church, because mediumship in general is one of the most strongly designated gifts. But also depending on the type of medium, if it is uncontrolled and untrained, it can cause physical harm. But it can cause physical harm not only to possibly them, but to other people around them, meaning uncontrolled mediumship readings can and does induce physical pain, scarring, and physical injuries, not only to themselves but to others, okay? And, I don't really want to emphasize that we shouldn't, that we should be so scared of mediumship abilities because it's something that, does even leave, a lot of adults feeling very uncomfortable. But it's always important to make sure that you're getting that proper training for that child because it's a very, very strong ability, and if you're not
especially if you're
trained,
a trance medium,
yes.
Because that's where a spirit actually comes into their body. And not all spirits are happy and joy. Sometimes they're quite pissed off, quite angry about crossing over, and they're stuck in limbo. So they just walk into your daughter's body and take it over and beat the hell out of your husband for the hell of it. It has nothing to do with your child misbehaving. It has more to do with that spirit that's now controlling your child. This is not a possession. This is a trans medium situation out of control.
Exactly. And, I don't know about you, Asen, but I get a lot of people, asking about, things regarding mediumship. We have a lot of shows that talk about crossing over into the light. What would you say if somebody was, asking you about that? Say you have a child who is seeing somebody and you're trying to get them crossed over. What do you think the best plan of action would be for that?
Well, the best plan of action is to nicely ask them to cross over and say, you're going to be much happier, everybody's waiting for you, but you may have to get right down and dirty with them and say, get out. You're not wanted in this home anymore. You're not wanted to live here anymore. You ain't lived here in 20 years. You ain't lived at all in 20 years. get out of my house and go to the light. And you sometimes have to forcibly push them there. And that takes control by the medium. Asen is not a medium. Love Reigns is a medium, and, I don't think you've done much with kicking ghosts out, because where you live, it seems like they all got the notice and vacated before you got there.
I've had my fun with one or two, though. Okay, so, yeah, but when you're talking about a child who really doesn't know how to deal with that, that's why training is very, very important, okay?
Very much.
Yeah. But, there's also some other ways that you can train your child in the home, Asen, too, aren't there?
Oh, most definitely. You can have them, use colored cards, and what you do is you pull the card to where they can't see it, and they tell you the color. This works on their precognition. It also works on their focusing and drawing information. You can play a game called People Are Talking. This is where you and your child is in one room, and there's a group of people in another room. And you ask your child, with the door closed so they can't cheat and hear what the conversation is about, what's going on in the other room? Or what time is someone going to be home? Or even yet, who's calling you on the phone? Believe me, there's a little 4-year-old in Philadelphia. She's better than caller ID. She not only tells you who's calling, but who's on the phone and what they want. That's also something I done as a child. And then, those are basic games.
Yeah, in fact, you and your grandmother used to play that game, didn't you?
Almost definitely. And back then they didn't even have caller ID, honey.
Yeah. And there's also something, to note here that often psychic children, when they're hearing voices, it can seem as if they're standing, in the middle of a stadium, filled with people and voices, and this can make it difficult for them to focus. And it's a game like this that kind of helps them get focused, get tuned in. This is one of the reasons why so often people will think that the child has ADHD, because, with children who have that disorder, if there's a lot going on, they have a hard time getting focused. Well, this can also happen to a child who is hearing a lot of voices, whether it's somebody in the next room or it's spirits, wherever they're picking up that information. So games like this help them to get focused. There's also another thing that you can do with your child is have them draw you a picture of what they're seeing or remembering when they're talking about another house or another life or when they were big. That helps you to get information, to see what's going on with them, what it is that they're experiencing.
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
That's very helpful, especially if they can't express themselves.
Yeah. Well, pictures say 1,000 words, right?
No, most definitely.
Yeah. And then also having them, write down their conversations that they might be having with other people. Okay?
Right.
This can be, again, somebody in another room, another location, or a spirit. Also, another thing that we haven't talked about yet is, having children begin to work with tarot cards somewhere around the age of 8, okay? This is the age where they can begin to understand the meaning of the cards. Other activities that they can do are to draw their own tarot cards because it helps them to memorize the meaning of the cards. Also helps to activate their memory, as well as using up that incredible energy level that psychic children naturally have anyway. Okay? I do want to note, though, that I think it's really important that children should not be doing these type of readings until they're much older. But as parents, we do know our child best and have a good understanding of when the time might be right for something like that.
Very much so. As they get older and start working more with their stuff, they'll be a lot better and a lot more comfortable with things. I just want to say real quick, lines are open. If you would like to call in for a reading, you call 424-675-6825. But also, with psychic kids, it's very important because gifts, literally, today they could be talking about Charlie, the friendly spirit, and tomorrow they're telling you that your boss is going to fire you. And they manifest very quickly. You want to encourage them to work with their guides, to develop a relationship with their guides. And it may happen that they start developing something and they can't deal with it. Example, I've never been able to deal with death. And then one Thanksgiving we were at the table and there's like 30 people at this big table. And all of a sudden, people's faces just started to look like they had white shadows over top of them. And it tore me up. I was screaming and running out of the room and throwing a fit. And, my grandmother came and, said, okay, now what's the deal? Why are you throwing a fit? And I told her what was going on, and she's like, well, if you don't want to see the white veils falling over the faces, then you need to tell your gods not to show it to you anymore. And since then, I've never seen it. I don't care to see it again. I don't want to see it again.
Exactly. Well, and you're right. That can be a very, very scary thing for a young child. It can be very scary for an adult. Although it can be difficult at times, for a child who has psychic abilities, and as well as being a parent for a child who has psychic abilities, it is just like having any other child that has specialized talents in their life. Okay, for example, if someone has a child that's great at playing the piano, has natural musical ability, you as a parent are going to do whatever is necessary to ensure that they get the appropriate training and that they get the practice. Well, that's exactly what you want to do when you find that your child has these abilities. Okay? Nurture that ability. Help them to understand what's going on with them.
And you'll find us at www.themagichappens.com, your free online magazine.
Are you at a crossroads in your life? Or are you feeling stuck and not sure where to turn? We can help. Visit our website at psychic.biz from your computer, smartphone, or tablet, where you can get accurate readings and insight by speaking with any one of our tested advisors. We offer live chat, video sessions, one-on-one phone calls, and even email readings. We have several gifted psychics, tarot readers, astrologers, and other healers from around the world who are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your initial chat is always free, and our psychics do offer special prices and low per-minute rates. Visit us today at psychic.biz and get the guidance you need today for your tomorrow.
You're listening to the Magic Happens Radio Network, sponsored by the Magic Happens magazine. You'll find us at www.themagichappens.com.
The Magic Happens magazine. So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Do you have burning questions you need answered? We all do. Visit our website at psychic.biz, where you can find accurate psychics, tarot readers, and astrologers from around the world who are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can have your questions answered anonymously and right from your computer, tablet, or smartphone. The introductory chat is always free, and we offer low per-minute rates and special promotions. Our online psychics offer helpful, practical guidance into what matters most to you. Visit us today at psychic.biz.
And you'll find us at www.themagichappens.com, your free online magazine.
And build that bond.
Yeah. Plus, there's also specialized schools now and even camps that have been developed over the years for psychic kids. But most important thing is, that as you as a parent, you're to be there to encourage and understand your child. And it's also necessary for you to do your own research and find out what gifts your child has and how to appropriately train them.
It's also important that they be brought up with a very strong spiritual understanding. Some religions will naturally be drawn to. Others they will have to question, and they will go, I'm not sure about that I fit here. But that's normal. And, that's what they're going to use to draw on their own strengths through life. Children themselves love living in society. They want to be with their friends, and they want to be like their friends. You just sometimes have to sit down and say, honey, you're a little bit special. God gave you an additional talent. Yeah.
And sometimes with, and I know that there are changes in society, but sometimes, with how, people think and work, that isn't always going to fit in, okay? And, you need to teach them about being very careful, on how they handle that gift with other people as well. It's also to protect them.
Most definitely, because children can be rude, they can be crude, they can also not understand what's going on. Sometimes they're totally cool about it, especially in today's world with all the shows. We've got Psychic Kids, we've got, the Psychic Medium, we've got all these different shows going on around us. And it really works out well for them. It's much different from when me and you were growing up.
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I don't think there was anything, I'm sure there wasn't anything out there. But, here's, a question. With regard to the shows that we see on television right now, do you think that they're really realistic, as far as what's really going on?
With Psychic Kids, I do feel that Coffe is very realistic. I feel the show portrays it very much realistically. A few others I tend to question. Medium, I tend to question because I ain't yet met a medium that can sleep through a whole night without a nightlight on. And I don't feel like they show that in the show. The real life and times of a psychic. And what your child's going to be looking at dealing with. 3 o'clock in the morning, Bon Jovi decides to walk in and say hi. Or, 2:30 in the afternoon, your grandmother comes and sits down after she's been crossed over for 6 months and says, so, what's been going on here lately? It gets a little interesting.
Yeah, and, also, and this is also something that I feel is important to note, that many times people who've passed will come in through your dreams, okay? And they'll come in through their dreams through children as well. And that's kind of a safe place, I think, because, dreams are not as threatening as maybe somebody popping up in your room.
Right, or in the shower.
Exactly. Well, Asen, I know that you had a very, very interesting childhood because your grandmother was able to identify your skills very early on.
Almost definitely.
So, what kind of things did you experience?
Oh, Lord, honey, the first night that me and my guides decided to show themselves to me was a terrible night. Luckily Mom and Dad were at work because Grandmother was a closet psychic, meaning she worked in an attic. Now they know what she done for a living. If she had clients over, if she was having tea with the ladies. So it wasn't something that was commonly discussed in the house on an everyday basis.
Uh-huh.
And, for me it was really interesting because my guides just came to me. They told me who they were. They told me what they were going to do. And I'm like, okay, I want to go play with my Scooby-Doo now. And it didn't seem so much of a big deal to me as a child. I would go and spend time up in Grandma's writing room and, sat there and draw pictures of her pretty cards and learn the meaning of each card. And it was almost like learning the meaning of a birthday card for me. And, she taught me telepathicism and forming that psychic bond with people and how to identify energies. My weirdest experience, and I promise you, to get to my grandmother's writing room, you had to go up a ladder. And this is a rope ladder. And
wow.
It was just one time I literally do not remember climbing the rope because I was too busy talking to the boy that was standing up there going, come on, get up here. We got things to do. So it just starts building and growing that way. And you've got to encourage it. And, start making things more comfortable for the child. For me, that relationship with my grandmother, I could tell her anything. I could tell her the sky was purple, and she'd go, really? Well, what do you think that means, Asen? Looks like we're going to have a snowstorm. I'd come back with her, and she was perfectly fine with it. The teenage years were harder for both of us because, she knew how to deal with the normal stuff. This is how you do a reading. This is how you read tea leaves. This is what you do with your clairvoyant information. This is how you meditate. And grandmother was very Buddhistic in her meditation, form, structure, position, everything, and was a drill sergeant about it. But the teenage years when things started changing and my psychic abilities just literally exploded, it was quite interesting. Because she didn't know what to do. She had taught me everything she could. She was looking for books. I was eating a book alive a day. And we're talking, 300, 400 pages. It'd be like, so that's when she said, okay, you need to start exploring religions. And she started getting me books on religions, and that fed in more information because that started feeding into past lives through China and France and Upper Romania and studying this religion and this dogma and forming my own ideas. That's what children need to be allowed to do when they're psychics because they're going to be enormously exposed to things. And they're going to have people that walk in and go, I'd like to know, what does this occur, or does my grandmother still talk about this? They need to be highly educated, and they are. They will eat up information like it's nothing.
And I think that you bring up a very good point about, learning about the different religions.
Most definitely.
Okay.
That's sometimes a taboo issue, but it's an important issue because they're all one.
Yeah, and I grew up, I had experiences when I was growing up where I would come and I would tell my parents something was going to happen, I would come in and I telling them, grandma's going to die. Grandma's not coming home. And, I'm crying and the whole family is looking at me like I'm nuts. I'm walking into the house, 5 weeks later, grandma's died. My mother picks up the phone and the hospital calling saying grandma's died. I would have experiences like that, but I don't think my family ever really made the connection, okay?
Right.
So I didn't really get that support there. I didn't have, that life where I was raised in that. So, my gifts had to be brought out as I was older in different ways.
Right. And there's still things coming out of you every day, honey. I just enjoy watching you just grow. It's like, oh, so that's what Grandma was talking about, the crazy psychic thing. Or, oh, now I see where she's headed. I should prep her for this, And that's the way you need to be with your children. You don't really need to be where you're going, okay, you're clairvoyant. That means you hear and see things. What is your TV show? 5 minutes later, what is your TV show you now, little Johnny? No. You need him to come up and be free-flowing and go, hi, Mommy, do you know that I saw on my personal little TV today that the car has a flat tire? You might want to get it fixed. And, go strolling on down the house and then go out and check the car because it may have a flat tire. You might want to get that checked anyhow.
Now, here's an important thing that I think that we should talk about. Talking about clairvoyancy, okay? How would you identify a child who has clairvoyancy, and how would you train them?
Okay. With a child that is very clairvoyant, they're going to have their own personal read, their own personal screen of seeing things. And a lot of times people explain it as a TV, but that's about the best way to put it. It's normally, and you'll often have your child, you'll take him to the eye doctor 5 times because he says he doesn't see some things and he sees other things that aren't there. And they literally see what's going on. It's like they're watching their own little personal viewer screen of the world. And it's sometimes difficult because they see things that really ain't fun, or they see things and it's like, oh, that's funny, but who's going to know it until it happens? They're the hardest to get focused, I'll say this, because I'm going to tell you, it's very difficult operating in a fully functional, technology-ridden world when you're not even part of it, and so with them you have to really focus in, have them, well, what's on your screen today, Johnny, and did you see something that scared you on your TV screen? Because that screen not only shows me energy fields or people or the flat tire in a car, but it shows all layers together, so it makes the house feel really crowded. A lot of times psychic children do not like to live in apartments because there's so much energy transferring and flowing from one house to another room to another house. It's worse than sound. So they'll be outside most of the time.
Well, and then here's also something important to bring up, too, is sometimes when they're seeing those little videos, this may not necessarily be clairvoyant energy, but it could also have something to do with, the energy that they're picking up from people who have lived in the home prior to this. Not necessarily people who have passed on, okay, but they're picking up, actual, visual energies of the people, such as, you're seeing things from the worldview of the baby who was in the nursery, know, and
it's not even the house, honey. It doesn't have to be the house. It could be, example, my mother's family has an organ. It's over 100 years old. I hate touching that thing. I refuse to dust it. And I literally let one of the housekeepers take care of it now. Because every time I touch that thing, all I see is all the kids that have sat in front of it and played over and over the hymns and over the, their scores and stuff. And it's like, oh, my God, it's so fast and so much information. It's ridiculous. It's like trying to watch 40 TV shows on one screen at the same time.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're picking up the energy there. Now, when we're talking about empathic energy, okay, and this is where, the children are picking up energy, picking up emotional energy from other people. How would we deal with them?
Well, with them, you have to teach them to discern the difference between their emotions and other people's emotions, because they're going to pick up on everybody's emotions, especially if they're within close contact. Example, you're home with the child, great day, happy day, they're all playing and having fun. Dad comes home and he's in a pissed mood. An empathic child will immediately pick that up and become cranky and whiny and fussy and crying and angry and breaking their toys. And it's not that it's them picking off of Dad's energy, but it's them feeling Dad's emotions. And Dad just trying to be like, okay, let's just have a good day. I'm home now, let me relax. But Dad's still upset about work in the back of his mind, so the empathic child will pick that up.
Yeah. And then Dad's getting mad because Dad just wants to come home, he wants to vent a little bit, and this child's acting up, and so it's making a bad day even more of a bad day for him.
Almost definitely, because the more the dad gets angry, the more the child's going to get angry. So then you have the child beating up Dad, who's telling the child not to hit him, but the child's so freaking angry he could barely speak.
Yeah. But there's also some techniques that could be used to keep that child, from picking up on that energy. Definitely meditation, daily meditation.
For the whole family. For the whole family. Letting Dad go to the gym after work if he's had a bad day.
Well, that way he comes home calm. Okay, it's worth it not having the fights within the home. But I have to say that, a lot of parents might be concerned if they do have a child like this. And although they may be open to trying to help them, they may be a little bit confused about even dealing with it or admitting to it.
Right.
Say you have a child who is experiencing this type of stuff and you don't know what to do. Where would be some places, I know metaphysical churches are a wonderful place. Going to professional psychics. Are there any other places where people could go?
The bookstore, the library. There's now thousands of books out there on psychic children. And they name them everything from crystal children to indigo children to star children to star seeds. They're all the same. It's just a marketing title. They're all psychic children, one form or another. Grab the books. Hit the research. You're sitting there while the kid's screaming his head off. You could be reading 3 pages going, oh, okay, I need to take you, and you need to go call her for about 3 hours and get all this energy out of you. Or we need to go to the park and you need to go run off some of that energy.
Yeah. And it's important to note because a lot of people really believe, because we do have all these fancy names for children these days. And why is it that you think that, people are, calling them indigo children or, psychic children? Why do you think they think that there's a difference?
Well, I feel like they think that there's a difference because of the time they're being born into. We're seeing much more psychic children. We're seeing much more children born with psychic gifts, born with the abilities, and so they decided to specially classify. If you were born from this to this, you're an indigo. If you're born from this to this, so you're born a star child. It really doesn't have anything to do with it other than maybe a few astrological things. And it really doesn't change anything or any way you handle the child in general. Okay? If they're a psychic child, you train them for it. Because if not, you're going to pay Hades all the way up until they're in their 50s. And figure it out their own selves and go, oh, Mom, by the way, I used to beat Dad up because he came home in a bad mood because his boss bought him out because I'm an empathic. And I pick up everybody's emotions.
Yeah. But also, being empathic, I think it's important not only to, teach the child that they're picking up on emotions, but, making sure that they're very, very much aware of that. Because often, you'll hear the child, talking about, well, I'm angry, but I don't know why I'm angry. Well, you're right. They don't know why they're angry. They're thinking it's about them, and they're internalizing it. And sometimes this can affect your self-esteem, okay, because they're thinking there's something wrong with them. Why am I always angry? Why am I always crying? Why am I always sad? Instead of looking at the people around them, who they're being exposed to. And that doesn't just include family members. That includes other people that they might be coming in contact with.
Exactly. People in the mall, people in Walmart, people walking down the street. If your child is psychic, they will instantly know good, bad, or evil. And you should probably listen to them, because I remember probably at age 7 or 8, we were having an addition added to the house. I personally did not care for the carpenter. I would go to my room and hide when he came. Turns out the gentleman left the job early, ran away with our money, and we had to finish the job ourselves. I didn't care. I immediately had a dislike to him. That's where I picked up psychically that he was not a good man.
I know that I used to experience, coming across people and literally saying, I've got to get away from this person. I still have that experience, by the way. But going through that, as a young person, and, coming in and you're supposed to be, using the polite words and minutes, your parents teach you a certain way to behave, and you're meeting somebody and you're wanting to run away as fast as you can because you don't know what's wrong, but you know there's something bad about them.
Oh, very much
and
so.
Having a fit, getting in trouble for having a fit, and then, finding out later on that really, in fact, there was something wrong with the person. So you definitely, again, that comes back to paying attention to what your child's telling you. granted, you don't want to automatically judge people, but be aware that, when they're having that type of reaction, look at it, pay attention, what's going on.
Very much so.
And, Asen, I know we're kind of coming here, kind of to the end of our show here tonight, but we're going to be talking about dreams next week, aren't we?
Oh, most definitely. We're going to be talking about dreams. We're going to be talking about how you deal with your dreams, how to begin remembering your dreams, how to interpret the information that's provided in your dreams, when a dream is just your mind entertaining itself, and when it's real.
Yeah. And also kind of finding out how dreams help us, how they help everybody, how you work things out. I would like to remind everybody that if you wanted to reach Asen or myself, you can reach us at psychignite.org, or you can reach Asen at 1-800-ASK-KEEN, extension 01446 for $2.99 per minute.
Or you can, I also want to, remind people, Love Rings is always over at 1-800-ASK-KEEN. Her extension is 03554-559, and she is only for $1.45 per minute. Plus, also, we have a Facebook group. If you type into the Facebook group, in the Facebook search thing, or hit one of our pages off of psychicnights.org, and that's spelled with a K, not an N. You can join our Facebooks, but you can also pop over and grab us there. And we have one caller on the line, so let's see if we can take that caller really quick. Jen Rooster, you're on the line. We've got less than 20 minutes, so let's make this quick.
Hi. I was just noticing your topic, and I'm sorry I'm late arriving at the show. I thought it was later. My question is, I have 4 children, and I'm wondering if you pick up on any of them being psychic, and if so, how I can nurture or identify that in them.
You really need to express their communication. I feel you have 2, and I feel like it's the first one and the third one.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, you've got to work on getting them to communicate, to express, to understand. There's a wonderful book called Psychic Children out by Sylvia Brown. It has a lot of training tips on there.
Okay, I especially see that in my 3rd child.
Right. That one's empathic and clairvoyant.
Okay.
Also, you can go back and you can listen to our show afterwards and listen to all the information as well.
Okay, that would be helpful. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I have done that. I just thought I would get here on time tonight. Sorry.
That's okay, honey.
I'll try again next week.
We're so glad that you could at least join us, and you have a blessed week.
Terrific. Thank you, and you too. Thank you very much.
Good night, darling.
Good night.
Okay.
Well, we'd like to wish you a safe journey,
Most definitely. And we'll see you next week where we'll be discussing dreams.
Okay. And good night, all.
Good night.
Are you at a crossroads in your life? Or are you feeling stuck and not sure where to turn? We can help. Visit our website at psychic.biz from your computer, smartphone, or tablet, where you can get accurate readings and insight by speaking with any one of our tested advisors. We offer live chat, video sessions, one-on-one phone calls, and even email readings. We have several gifted psychics, tarot readers, astrologers, and other healers from around the world who are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your initial chat is always free, and our psychics do offer special prices and low per-minute rates. Visit us today at psychic.biz and get the guidance you need today for your tomorrow.
You're listening to The Magic Happens Radio Network, sponsored by The Magic Happens magazine. You'll find us at www.themagichappens.com.